Welcome back to Beauty Marks Podcast. My name is Elizabeth Savillon, and thank you for joining me on another episode. Here we talk about all things healing, embracing our story, and cultivating community. And I'm just so happy that you're here. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review. That all helps us to grow and just gain awareness to other people about this show. I'm also here at High Hill Labs in downtown Orlando in this beautiful studio space. And if you need any production, event, podcast needs, they're your go-to place. And I've been with them for a while now, and I love it. And just the community here, the encouragement, the support, the pep talks that you get, and also just the at ease that you feel with the content that you create. So on this week's episode, I wanted to just do a little dating chat, a little girly chat. These are just my opinions, my own experiences, but honestly, out of the love of my heart to help other people. This is not to shame any guys that I've ever dated, that I've ever gone on a date with. But it's just stuff that I've learned, because I feel like dating in your 20s and 30s is a little bit difficult. And it evolves as you grow too. And I see kind of the similar challenges that we all have in dating of like, okay, the dating apps suck. Like, okay, the communication, people are ghosting you. People like love bomb you in the beginning. Like, oh, I thought like, he was so good in the first month. And then like the next 3 months was terrible. And so I just kind of want to talk about my experience, the signs that I saw, good, bad, funny stories, things that I learned about myself. And so let's just get right into it. So I wanted to go over today of just lessons that I learned in my 20s in dating. I was in a long-term relationship for most of my earlier 20s. So I started dating a little bit later. I actually started, I would say, casually dating when I was, I think like 27, 28. So it was different. So going from like, okay, you meet people casually like in school or at work, and then you're like, okay, these dating apps. So I literally threw myself in there and I was like, I'm going to go on these dates, and no judgment. But I did go on like one of the weeks, I went on like 5 dates because I was like, I want to kind of see what's out there, and I want to put myself out there and show myself that I can casually date. And tell me how that was so much anxiety and would not recommend, because that is hard to keep up with. And I just felt like what I was trying to do is just learn who I was and what type of person was I interested in this time of my life. So I gave people a chance. I would go on different kind of dates. I would go on coffee dates. I went on mini golf dates. I went on bowling dates. I went on dinner dates, ice cream dates. So like I went on different kind of dates, and I was like, okay, what works for me? And I feel like I learned so much through that. I know that a lot of women are just like a one type, like they just date one person at a time, meaning that they're just hanging out or talking to. And when I say dating, I'm talking about casually dating. I'm not talking about exclusivity, because I do believe in one person when you are exclusive. So it was more that beginning of like you meet from an app and you hang out with them 1 or 2 times. So there's no like exclusivity at that point of like we're not dating other people. So in the beginning, I was kind of like figuring out what I want. I knew that I was open to being in a relationship, but I feel like dating taught me so much about like, what I don't like, fears that came up, patterns that I saw in other people. And I also, in the beginning of dating though, I did do something that was so helpful, and that was write down what I was looking for and what are my non-negotiables. I think that when you start dating out of like, let me just see what's out there and let me go, you will see very quickly what's out there. And that does not mean that you should be dating all the people that you see. And I feel like that started narrowing down when I had that list of like my non-negotiables, what I was looking for. That definitely narrowed that from the apps, or when I would talk to someone and be like, all right, for me, like the value system of like, are they a Christian? Do they are they, have like a steady job? Are they someone that is someone that I have a good time with, or we have like some kind of commonalities, and other things that you see over time. But I feel like those were kind of like and the attraction of like, and do I find them attractive? So it's like those little things that when you go on that date, then you find out more about them, about their family, about their lifestyle, about different things like that. And I feel like it was fun because I would go into the dates, and this was something that really helped me to kind of see it like you are just hanging out and you're meeting someone new and you're interested in getting to know someone else, and you're being in touch with yourself of how do you feel, how are you having a good time, like are you aware like of this person, are you guys enjoying your time together. And overall my experience was good. Like I had good dates. I know that the biggest thing about dating is the whole thing about like who pays. And I feel like very early on, I told myself, Liz, you are going to step back and be in your feminine and allow a guy to treat you. And all of my dates, all my first dates were always paid for. I would just they would bring the check or anything like that, and I would just kind of be like sit back. At first it was super awkward because I was so used to always like doing it or paying. And so being able to be like, thank you so much for being a gentleman. Thank you so much. That was so nice of you. And I feel like, in my opinion, maybe I'm popular or not, I feel like after maybe this second or third date, you could offer, to be like, hey, like we can do 50-50, or I can pay for this one, but it's like the more investment, because I do feel like guys also want to know that you're invested in it, not that you're just after them treating you all the time, but that is an unpopular opinion because I know that some people are anti-paying at all. And some people are actually like, no, I don't want to owe anybody, so I'm going to pay for myself. And all for you, but I recommend 100%, most people, most guys are gentlemen that they will pay at least the first date, especially if I think like personally, if it's like coffee or ice cream, girl, put that card away. Absolutely not. We're not doing that. And I feel like if you want that from the start, you will get that. You will see that intention. I think that for dating, you also, for guys, I know it can get expensive. So I feel like depending on what kind of places they're taking you, that's something else too. But all that to say, I feel like I went on different kind of dates, and I feel like during that time it was fun because it was like something to look forward to, like after work or after a long day. On one of my dates that I went on was to a bowling alley, and it was probably after like a second or third date, and this person, I was like, okay, I can casually bowl. Like, I mean, I haven't done it in a minute, but I'll do it. Turns out, okay, this person is doing strikes and spares this whole time, and I'm over here like gutter balls. And literally, as I'm like, wow, like you're so good at this. He's like, yeah, actually, like I competed growing up. Like my family would go bowling professionally. And I'm like, um, so it's you against you right now, because you know that I suck at bowling. And I can see that like that he was being so competitive with himself about like doing strikes and spares over and over and over and over. And I was just like, okay, gutter ball here, one pin here. And so it was funny. I feel like when you see a competitive guy, it's cute, but also it's like, we're just having a good time. Okay, this is not that serious. And then he was trying to give me pointers, and I was like, thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. But honestly, like, I'm not that great at bowling. It's just for fun. But all to say is like, I feel like that showed me another side of that person, and I feel like activities do that. It's like they help you to kind of see like how they are in different environments, in competitive sports. In mini golf though, I actually did pretty good. So I feel like all the different things I did, when like axe throwing one time, I did a lot of active sports. Personally, that is what I prefer and I love. So like if someone plans out an activity, that is 10 times better for me than sitting across for dinner. But I did do the dinner dates, and they were good conversation and good flow. But I also feel like personalities have a lot to do with that. Because I would say I went on dates with guys that were either, some of them were more introverted and then some of them were more extroverted, but I was really trying to be in tune with myself of like showing up as me, like not trying to like be someone else. Like even with my personality, I know I'm like more bubbly. I naturally like laugh when I'm nervous, excited, everything, so I feel like I was just trying to like, like kind of go with it, ask them questions, show interest. And then there was, so there were some days that like naturally, like after the first date, it was kind of awkward. But then like the second date, it was like, okay, yeah, I can see this going somewhere. Or no, I can't at all, because I feel like personally after the first or second date, you will know. And then there was some dates that on the first date and the first interaction, it was such a high. I remember there's this one guy, and I tell my friends, I'm like, it is what it is. But he was very cute. And he was just like, there was so much chemistry. Like, I'm talking about like attraction, the feel, the vibe. It felt so comfortable that it was kind of scary because I'm like, I just met this man. And he was love bombing me to the T, telling me how beautiful I am. Wow, so wonderful. Oh my God, I've never felt like this. I'm not a physical touch person. So especially on the first date, especially if I just met you. But he was like, I'm so sorry. I just am very like touchy feely. Like, I hope that I'm like respecting your boundaries. I don't want you to make you feel uncomfortable. And I'm like, yeah, I like don't, because he was like trying to hold my hand. And I was like, no. And then I was like, it's not personal to you. I just don't like, yes, it's like, I feel that we're like attracted to each other, but it's not like that. But slowly but surely, stuff like that would used to make me feel really good, of like such a heightened of like chemistry and attraction. But as this person was talking, and I was actually listening to them, even though I was looking at them and I was like, you are so cute. But when he was talking, he was telling me all the red flags. Like, he was telling me he has no boundaries. He has struggled committing to women. He's never really been in a relationship, and he was like almost 30 years old. And it's not just that part. It's more of the, I have struggled to commit to one person because there's like amazing women out there. So like kind of that mentality of like, there's always going to be better. And just the more I asked questions, the more I was like, yeah, we don't align with a lot of stuff. You have a lot of growing to do in certain areas. And he was very cute. I'm not going to lie. And that was a hard one to cut off because the old me and like the part of me that wanted to like casually date, I also realized that like I didn't want a situationship. And I didn't want to like string someone along. And so that was actually like after the second date, I like cut things off, and it actually felt like, because he was so cute. So don't judge me. Okay. We've all been there, that we're like, they're attractive, but at the same time, like, that this person is not long term, so I had to set certain boundaries and like have those hard conversations. Even certain values didn't align. And what was crazy is that this person followed me on social media, and then when I was posting stuff about like dating or like casually whatever, they would say like, oh, that post is about me, isn't it? It's because like our values don't align. It's because like I'm not like Christian enough, or I'm not this. And I'm like, it's not about you, but take it for you. Now we don't follow each other, so it's fine. But it was hard during that time because I felt like anything I would post when I like cut this person off was like targeted towards him, but it wasn't, like, genuinely wasn't. And I was trying to be very protective of that time because I feel like I will never exploit certain people or their dates or stuff, because I never want to bash anybody, but it was just not the right fit for me. And I feel like we were on different paths of life. But I feel like a lot of us in dating either go towards like the very high chemistry right away, which I feel like can be a red flag, or we go for something that it's like a slow steady, and we're like, okay, is this gonna, like, we kind of give it a chance, which I do believe in giving people a chance. Like, definitely if maybe after the first date was a little bit awkward or a little bit like quiet, try to see for the next date and maybe do something else and kind of see if that grows. But if after that time you see, just be honest with people and let them go. I do have to be honest though, there was one person that, no, there was two people that I ghosted. And I felt bad because what was happening during that time, and that's when I realized like it's not personal when people do it to you, because I did it and I apologize for doing it. If you are hearing, I apologize. But during that time, I was going through a lot. It was like around my sister's wedding. There were just some personal stuff. I had just shared some of my story on my podcast. just it was not an easy time. And so I feel like I didn't have the capacity to date anymore, and I knew that. And so I kind of stepped back. So I like stopped the dating apps. I cut off everybody that I was talking to, like I was done dating. And I went on one date with this person, and then they were just very intense of like trying to like text me all day and like trying to send me pictures all the time of like what they're doing and stuff. And I just like couldn't keep up with it. And I think it was like I was on a bachelorette weekend, and I just didn't respond. And then they took a while to respond, and then I just kind of didn't respond after that. So but then they wrote me, and I was like, excuse me. They said, they wrote me maybe like 2 days later, and they're like, instead of saying like, hey, like, how are you? Like anything, like they were like, oh, okay, I see how it is. I said, what? I just met you. Like, what do you see how it is? Like, instead of asking me, because I had told them that it was going to be a very stressful weekend. But anyways, either way, I didn't respond back. I blocked them, and life kept going on. But those are situations that it's like you learn from. And now I see that it's like, that's where my headspace was, that I wasn't that interested, but also I wasn't that invested in dating anymore, that I kind of refrained. And so then I ghosted. So I have also been ghosted though. There was one date that I thought went relatively good, and we had a great time. And I felt like, wow, this is nice. Like we had a lot of similarities and everything. And we left, and he's like, yeah, like, we should do this again. Like, how's your availability this week? Whatever. We left. He didn't even text me like, hope you got home safe. How, enjoy the time. Nothing. Crickets. And then like unmatched me from the apps. So, hey, it happens. We all learn, we all grow from it, but it's not personal. And I feel like in dating, what it taught me is like, you are seeing like that there are great attributes of people that you like, and other things that you don't, and other things that you like enjoy of someone, that you're like, wow, like I would love a partner that has this kind of personality, or that's very interested in the things that you're interested in. Like there was a time that I dated someone that was very interested in like mental health and wellness, and has read a lot of the similar books that I had read, was into like the category of space that I was in. And so we had a lot of commonalities, but then in other areas, we did not. So it was like, but I liked that about him. There were some guys that were very like protective and just very like assertive, and would like communicate like what they thought, or like how they were enjoying the interaction. And I enjoyed that. There was other guys that like they were kind of quiet and withdrew, and like I was trying to like read them, like to kind of feel it out. And I realized that gives me anxiety. Like I don't think that I can be with someone like that. So it was just certain things that I learned through that process that I feel like were great. But I feel like sometimes I see it a lot, that sometimes like when you're stuck in your type, I feel like that can limit your options, because and there's this post on social media that's like, I had to date outside of my type because I wanted to get married. And I genuinely believe that sometimes like your type is not it. It's being open to other kinds of people that maybe have certain similarities or certain values that you do, that you can just see how it goes. Like, hang out with them, be open to it, have the conversation. And sometimes, that can spark into something else. But then the other part of that is that, what is the difference between settling and compromising? Because as I'm getting older and I'm 29, I see a lot of people, and I see a lot of posts on social media of, like that you're getting to your 30s, women that 35, 40, that it's kind of like, well, there's no good men out there. And so, well, there's this good guy, like, I guess, it's one, we just got to settle for it. We just got to do what we have to do, because like, this is the only guy left. And I think personally that's settling. I think settling is when you literally feel like your needs maybe aren't met, but your fear of being alone are so high, or your fear of ending up alone is so high. So you're willing to sacrifice other things because you're like, well, this is better than nothing. And I feel like if you're having that mentality, that is not the best place to start in dating. I think there are certain things that you might have to compromise or be open to in dating, but I think that you have to go back to your value list, your non-negotiables. And if it's about like, I know it's superficial stuff, but if it's about like height or certain things that are stuff that they cannot change, like it is what it is, but you value the person, the character, things like that, then I think that you should give them a fair shot. But if you're also like trying to convince yourself to be in them, because they can be a great person, but you naturally might not be attracted to them because, or you might not feel like it can go, like your lifestyles just don't go together. And that's not something that they're going to change. Because you also can't date potential, right? So you have to see them for who they are today. But there's other things that you can help them or assist. And I was talking to Chris before this show, and I was telling him, like, I feel like a lot of women are stuck in like, okay, their style, right? Style, haircuts, grooming, stuff like that. Like that stuff that I feel like with women's touch, we can definitely help to like bring out those like great things of a guy, of like how he shows up, and maybe like he has a certain style that can like be sharpened, and you can like maybe he can learn those things, but other things like character definitely can't change that. Personality of a certain, if someone literally gives you the ick by the way that they are, like that's not like, there's people that will love them that way, but like not trying to change who they are, the essence of who they are, or even things that are valuable to them. So like if they want kids and you don't, or if they have certain traditions or like cultural things that you do not want to accept but that's a huge part of them, that might be an issue, politics, other things like that. I definitely feel like I've seen people navigate through that. Like I don't think that that's like a huge like, oh my gosh, but I also for myself, I don't see myself being with someone that's so into politics personally, because that can be very, very messy. So I feel like just figuring out what is valuable and important to you, and also being willing to be open to like, what are things that maybe I can look for that you can go back in that list, and so highly recommend making a list of the non-negotiables, meaning like you cannot, meaning like if they do drugs, or if they have addictive tendencies of something, or if they maybe it can be as something as like if they party at night, if they're like a night goer, if there's someone that has like a really bad temper, things that you are like, no, absolutely not. Or if they are not Christian for you, if that's something that is a standard or a non-negotiable, like certain things that even though they're cute or they have other things, but if those things like absolutely not can't work through, or if there's a list of the things that you would like but you're open to, because I think that even with Maria, I had an episode with her of like dating, and even Sueli, we talked about that, of like what are the things that maybe you think that you want, but it's like, what do you actually need? And I feel like sometimes the people that come into your life and the person that you end up with can be more of what you need than all of the wants that you have. And it can be better than you would have thought it would have gone, So I think being open to that, and just knowing that like the fear of maybe being single or like dating, or like, if you're in that negative mindset of dating, I think I highly recommend taking a break. I actually have not dated for the past like almost a year. And I feel like that has been good for me personally. And this is just my own journey, because I have had just other issues that have life stuff that has come up that I feel like have taken priority. And I think that in dating, you should make it a priority. Like dating should be something that you schedule in your calendar, that you're like, I'm going to go on a date this week, or I'm going to make time for someone, because I think that they deserve that. They deserve the time and they deserve the investment and you being open to it. But if you're just like, like I'll get on the apps, I guess, see, and like, yeah, but like I'm not available for like the next like 3 weeks, like I'm going to be traveling, like I genuinely don't think that you're prioritizing dating. So I feel like if you want to be intentional about dating, you have to prioritize it, and you have to have a good mindset around it, to be open to like, and it doesn't have to always be through the apps. It can be even people that you meet in person. I feel like the energy that you give when you actually are like positively looking for dating, it's like you're just more open, you're smiling, you're like looking around, you're more aware of people, versus like kind of like in your own bubble. So those are just things. But then also when it comes to compromising, I feel like knowing that in a healthy relationship, both people will work towards like solutions, things that will bring you guys closer together. And so there are things that you might be having to change, to work through, or adjust in your lifestyle, when you're dating, but it's not completely changing you. And I think that if someone's pulling you away from like your friends, your family, if you feel like you used to be like, used to go to the gym all the time, or used to be involved in church a lot, and now you're not because this person's just like consuming your time, your schedule, like you're in their schedule, you're in their time, you're in their likes. Like, I think that that is a red flag and something that you maybe need to pause to be like, where are we at in this relationship? Is this kind of leading me more towards like the betterment of the things that we both enjoy, or is this like consuming me to away from the things and the priorities that used to be very important to me? And I know that when I have been in unhealthy dynamics, that's what it feels like. It's just like it's more of them and their worlds and more things, and it's changing you. But that's not even because that's what you want. It's just that you consume yourself in someone else's world versus being like, this is my world, this is your world. How can we work together through that? Like, we both go to both of our families and our friends and our hobbies, and like you still are an individual despite being in a relationship. And I think that a relationship will challenge you, and it does challenge you. And that's not always a negative thing. So those are just things that I wanted to share today. I feel like dating is something that I've learned a lot from, and things that I have just kind of seen throughout. I feel like people tell you who they are, you just have to listen. And I know that in dating, there was someone that told me like of their past, like right away, of like mistakes that they had made. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. This is interesting that you're telling me that, and there was also someone that just told me like pretty much they're not ready for a relationship like right away. But they were telling me all this other fluffy stuff in between that. So it was like just making sure to pay attention and be aware of like what you allow, and what kind of relationship standards you have. I think that even as dating changes, you should still have standards and values and respect yourself. So I know that I see it all the time on social media, like, the bar is on the floor. Like, our bare minimum is like so low. It's like, no, still have standards for yourself, and don't settle. Don't settle just because you're lonely or because you're afraid of being alone. There is someone out there for you. And I think that when you put that out there, that it's like, I'm not willing to negotiate that I know that I'm not going to find a perfect person, but I'm going to find someone that values me, respects me, that we can grow together, that we can build together, that we can add to each other's joy. That is so much different than saying like, well, this is what we got. This is what we have, and I really will always stand for that. I'm almost turning 30 like next year, and I know that I could be in a relationship, but I wanted to, and if I wanted to invest in that of certain people, but I haven't found that for myself, and I haven't seen that in my space, so I am willing to wait, and I am not in a rush, because what it's for you is for you. And I just want to encourage you in that. So if you have any questions about dating, my DMs are open. We can definitely chat. And I know it also is different in dating. If you have kids, if you've have other things in your life that maybe look different, your standards, your boundaries, which that's like a whole nother episode. But I wanted to end up the episode with a little Q&A of questions on dating. So I will be answering a few of your guys' questions. So the first question is, how has your approach to dating grown over the years as you've gotten more content in your single season? I know for sure that because I feel more of a wholeness in my life today, I just am not willing to settle for that. And I just know that it's like, it's worth investing in yourself and to make yourself better and to have a full life, so that when you meet that person, like, you guys are going to be addition to each other's life. And so I really believe that my approach of like, oh my God, the desperation of like, I need to get married and like that's like the goal. I think now it's like an addition to my life, and it's not like my life is still continuing on and I'm still living my life. Despite being single, I can still have joy and I can still have a full life. The holidays are coming, for example, and I know that this is the time where people get all together. It's like, you want to have a partner, you want to go to the pumpkin patch, but I know that I can do those things with friends, I can do those things with family, and like I can still be alone and not feel lonely. Like I can still do stuff by myself and feel content. And that's really how I do. And I feel like that has come through a lot of things of working on myself, having hobbies, things that I'm interested in, having God in my life, like having a community of people. And I know that that takes time, but that is possible. The other question is mental preparation expectations for first dates. I think you have to have the best mentality when going into dating, feeling good about yourself, wearing something that you feel cute in, having maybe hype music or prep music so that you feel comfortable and you feel good, and having that person, that friend that you can be like, hey, like I need a pep talk. And I remember like I would call like my sisters or my friends to be like, oh my God, I'm a little nervous, like I'm gonna meet this person, and then they would kind of ease me to be like, it's gonna be fine, like show up as yourself, like, smiley, this is just someone that you can meet. This can be a friend. It doesn't have to be that it's like the man of the rest of your life. So I feel like when you take off that pressure to know that you're just meeting someone, you'll have more fun in dating. But when you always kind of obsess of like, oh my God, like this has to be the person, or like, oh my God, this has to be like the best date ever, because if not, then I feel like you stop losing interest. And honestly, you kind of feel drained after every date. I I've heard people that do it. I could not, but it's like that they date like so many people throughout the week. So it's like all the whole month they have like 25 dates. I think that is exhausting. So I feel like you need to take it at your own pace, whatever works for you to have it be in the best headspace, and know again that if you're not ready to prioritize it, if you are not positive about it, it's okay to feel discouraged in dating, but just know that like that energy, like if you're on the date and you're talking about how horrible men are out there, you shouldn't be dating. You should not be dating. Like you want to be in a better headspace for that. And for them to know that like you're okay, like being single. You're not like desperate being single, because that energy is very obvious. The other question is dealing with insecurities that may come up in dating. So this is a very broad question. So I don't know if the insecurities are more of like, maybe jealousy, or is it insecurities about yourself that come up? But I think that as you continue to grow, I know casually dating, meaning when you're just getting to know them, things can come up. If they, let's say, don't text you all day, or if they don't, confirm dates, or if maybe you're like, oh my God, are they talking to other people? I think those thoughts can come, but that's something that you have to work through yourself and kind of know that it's the process of dating until you guys are exclusive, that they could potentially date other people. But I feel like the confidence in yourself to know that what's for you is the best mentality to have, because there's some things that you can, like, for example, like about the communication, you can communicate with a guy if that's an insecurity, or if you start feeling like anxious about it. You can be like, hey, would love to hear from you, before a date, to kind of know, like, so I can plan ahead, all of that. Or would love if we can chat more, maybe FaceTime before like our date, and things like that. And then if they're like, yeah, of course, like we'll do that, and you kind of watch him to see if he actually does the change, but there's other things of like maybe past traumas, trust issues, insecurities about yourself, your body, that maybe come up, that's something that I feel like is an internal job for ourselves to do, to start being aware of like, what is this? Why is this triggering me? Why is this insecurity coming up? Is that something that I haven't healed from? Or is that something that I am self-sabotaging myself? Like it's not him, like it's literally me. And I see that from a lot of people that have been in toxic relationships, that they self-sabotage, or they want to start a fight or an argument, or they want to be paranoid about something that's not there, and I feel like that's why it's so important to date in community and date around healthy people, because they will also help you to see like, hey, all right, let's see if it's off, because sometimes it's stuff within us that we're like, no, actually this person is a red flag, and you're feeling it in your body and something is off, and you have to trust that. But also sometimes because your meter is off from your last pickers, your last dates, or the last people that you've dated, then that can also be that you just don't know how to do that confidently. Like, you don't have confidence in choosing the right partner. And so it's good to have other people that are, championing you, and that are encouraging you, and that are validating you, and that are telling you and calling you out to maybe be like, hey, are you being a little bit too much right now? Or like, it's not that serious, or you know what, I hear you, but give it some time. But I feel like I know that can come off very obvious, when you're dating, and people do see that. So it's important 100% to work on yourself right before you date, but know that dating does bring up stuff about ourselves that we will continue to work on. So the last question is the best piece of advice you've given someone who is currently dating. I would say to first be yourself, to write down the list of what are your needs and your non-negotiables, and just know that you can pray also about your dating. I feel like a huge part of when I would go on dates, I would be like, God, like, I want to involve you in this, like in the dating, in the process of my safety, of my discernment, because we aren't meant to do it alone. I feel like the partner that you end up being with to eventually marry, that's one of the biggest decisions that you will ever make. So know that it's like to ask for wisdom and to ask for just that clarity that you need, within dating, and know that a lot of us are trying to figure it out, and it's not a problem with you specifically. It's just knowing that right now, connection is something that a lot of people struggle with. Even like when you go out, sometimes it's like people are awkward, like making conversations, but just put your best foot forward and do your part, and just leave the rest, and just know that God has your life in his hands. God has your partner in his hands, and he knows, like, he's out here somewhere, okay? There's so many people in this world. There's one person that is there for you. And so I just want to encourage you, if you feel discouraged, to be like, man, I'm never going to, or like, just know that those hard days will come, but that's when you need your community, your support, and just continue to show up and do what you got to do, and live your full life, even if you are single, because I feel like that's another part of women that I know that there's still the mindset out there that, oh my God, but I'm single. Like, if I was just married, or, it's great to have the desire, and, that desire for connection is something that we all have. But at the same time, just know that God can still use you, and you're valuable regardless of your relationship status. And just know that there is purpose for every season that you're in, So I hope that this encouraged you. Hope this helped you. And if you want to have any dating questions or chat, make sure to hit me up at Elizabeth Sabby on social media. Also, you can submit a question on beautymarkspodcast.com. And I hope you guys have a great week.